Alright, so I got my fancy schmancy new cell phone slash video camera. I'm going to try, I think you would call this a selfie vlog in the local vernacular. Now there's probably a lot of wind coming across the microphone, so we'll see how this goes. But for the test I figured we'd talk about the Dallas TV show. I don't know how many viewing this are fans of the old show, fans of the new show, or both, but I was awfully disappointed to hear that the new version of that was canceled. They had that on, I think, 3 seasons, and it you know, from the perspective of someone who enjoyed the old show, it had issues. It absolutely had issues, but I mean, you cannot watch the new show coming from the old show and expect it to be the same. You know, the production values were totally different. They were doing some different things with the characters, and it had a different personality, but there was still enough from the old show that you could relate to it. And then there was things that weren't. I don't know, well, I'm just kind of free-forming this, but I'll talk about it. One of the ways that they weren't is, you know, Bobby's character was very different in that, you know, he didn't use to compromise his integrity as easily in the old show as he does in the new show. Not that he never did in the old show. I think it was harder for him to do it, and he felt worse about it afterward in the old show. Whereas in the new show, I think it was still hard for him to do it. He still felt bad about it, but he could do it with greater ease. Now, some of the other challenges, especially for the new cast, these are people I presume to be in their 30s. They never saw that show in its original time slot, context, all of that, and I imagine as actors and actresses, they're watching the old show trying to get themselves up to speed, and there's a lot to wrap your mind around there, because that was on for 11 years or something, no, 12 years, 1978 to 1991. So there's a lot to wrap your mind around, and as an actor, you get massive shoes to fill, especially the character of John Ross. You know, he's the spawn of J.R. Ewing, who's the greatest television villain of all time, bar none. I mean, doesn't get more low down, dastardly, no good son of a bitch than him. It just doesn't happen. So how, as an actor, no matter how good you are, how do you come on TV as the spawn of J.R. Ewing? How do you wrap your mind around that? How do you wrap your abilities around that? And that was a big challenge, I believe, for Henderson. Josh Henderson, is that his name? It had to have been a huge challenge for him. But and in the first season or two, I wasn't so sure I was convinced. But this last season, I was starting to feel it. I was starting to feel that he was getting his rhythm with it, and kind of making his peace with the shoes that he was trying to fill, and honoring it and bringing something of his own to it. I was impressed. I thought he was doing a good job with it, especially I think it was in the last episode he was arguing with Sue Ellen and Bobby, because everyone throughout the whole season had been telling me, you're just like your father, you're just like your father, and he would always get upset and say, I'm not like my father. Well, in the last episode that came up again, and he said, I've been doing some soul searching and I'm not like my father, I'm worse. So, you know, that was priceless, you know. So you wanted to see more of the next season where he's going to go with that, you know. Very entertaining. Now, the other thing that I was troubled with is they presumably killed off the Christopher character in the last episode. So even if they were to bring it back, or if they do end up getting a new deal with another network and they do bring it back, that's going to be a massive blow to the show. Now, there's also the possibility that might be a fake out, because they showed his car blowing up, and you would presume that he's in the car, but maybe he wasn't, and maybe it's just kind of a cliffhanger to get you to watch into the next season and see how they play that out. Now, the way they were talking to the media, they were saying that they're going to pick up the show 6 months after Chris's death, but you know, you can say anything and then have a big surprise when they start filming again, or when they start airing it again. Now, assuming that it's true that he left the show, I have a feeling it's for a lot of the same reasons that Patrick Duffy left the show in the mid-'80s. Because originally, it was supposed to be a Romeo and Juliet story about Bobby and Pam and the feuding families. But then JR's character was so well done and so compelling that it became a show more or less about JR. He was the centerpiece of the show, and they were all kind of his foils. And I think that was probably not what Patrick Duffy was wanting or expecting or liking, and left the show over it. I presume that's why. I'm not him, so I don't know what the real deal was. But then found out opportunities weren't as good, and I think Larry Hagman had a lot to do with getting him to come back, and he did. But I have a feeling that the Christopher character, the actor that plays Christopher, if he indeed left the show, it may have been for a lot of the same reasons, because he and the John Ross character is supposed to be cousins and equals and all this and that, but you know, John Ross has a much bigger, better, juicier role, and Christopher just kind of plays the nice guy reacting to it. So as an actor, maybe that gets old. I can see how it would, but he sure was a good Christopher. He was very plausible. I thought he was doing a great job, and if the show comes back and he's not on it, he'll definitely be missed. Anyway, that's all I can think of. My rambling narrative here, just to test out this camera, try this split screen thing, see what that's like. Let me know what you think about the visual on this, the production value or lack of, and the commentary. Let me know if this is a good format, doing this split screen with rambling narrative and a little show and tell. No extra charge for the show and tell, by the way. I normally would bill you extra for that, but considering this is just a test, I won't be billing. But future episodes, you'll get a bill in the mail. Thanks for watching.